Today, we are going to focus on the 4 major sections. Let's start with introduction. This section is important since it demonstrates how much you understand and how familiar you are with the literature. It also allows you justify the need for your research in a strong and compelling way. The purpose of the introductory section of a research report is to acquaint readers with the research problem, the significance of a problem for nursing and for a field of knowledge, and the context within which the problem was developed. The introduction sets the stage for a description of study through the review of literature, description of the framework, and the presentation of the problem, statement, hypothesis, underlying assumption for studying the problem. As we have talked about before, the literature review is an interpretative, organized, and written presentation of what the study's author has read. The purpose of conducting a review of the literature is to discover the most recent, the most relevant information about a particular phenomenon. The literature review provides an answer to the question, what is known on this topic? The literature review may be a synthesis of research findings, an overview of relevant theories. In the introduction section, the review of literature section documents the current knowledge of the problem investigated and discusses the background and the significance of the problem so as to inform the reader of the reason the study was conducted. In other words, through explaining the background of study, make readers clear the reason that the problem was considered worth pursuing. The justification of a nursing research problem should ideally include both the practical and the theoretical significance of the study. Statements are supported with citations from the literature. The sources included in the literature review are the sources that you use to develop your study and interpret the findings. Depending on the type of a research report, a review of literature can be 2 or 3 paragraphs or several pages long. In journal articles, the review of literature is concise and usually includes a maximum of 15 to 20 sources. Theses and dissertations frequently include an extensive literature review to document the student's knowledge of the research problem. The summary of the literature review clearly identifies what is known, what is not known, or gap in knowledge, and the contribution of the study to the current knowledge base. A research report includes the study framework. The introduction should incorporate definitions of concepts under investigation so that the reader could have a fairly good idea what the researcher had in mind. Therefore, the researcher should identify and define the major concepts in the framework and describe the relationship among the concepts. You can develop a map or model to clarify the logic within the framework. If a particular proposition or relationship is being tested in a quantitative study, that proposition should be stated clearly. Developing a framework and identifying the proposition examined in a study serve to connect the framework and the research purpose to the objectives, questions, or hypotheses. The concepts in the framework must be linked to the study variables and are used to define the variables conceptually. A framework for a qualitative study may provide theoretical context for the concepts and possibly structure for the data collection, such as interview questions. Followed by the review of literature and the framework, the objectives, questions, or hypotheses that were used to direct the study often are stated at the end of the literature review. Depending on the type of research report, the review of literature and framework might be separate sections or separate chapters, as in thesis or dissertation. Now, we'll illustrate the introduction with an example. The title is The Effectiveness of a Pressure Ulcer Intervention Program on the Prevalence of Hospital-Acquired Pressure Ulcer, Controlled Before and After Study, published in Applied Nursing Research in 2015. In the background, epidemic characteristics of pressure ulcer and related information on pressure ulcers, such as stages and interventions used to prevent pressure ulcer, were stated. Then indicated the gap in knowledge. Little research with good methodology conducted, and lower recommendations were rated B or C level. Less attention to nursing intervention was given, followed by the contribution of the study to a current knowledge base, giving more attention to nursing intervention. The model used to PDSA model. Lastly, the objectives and the specific questions were identified. In sum, the introduction should prepare readers for the description of what was done and what was discovered. The introduction should answer the questions: what did the researcher want to know? Why did the researcher want to know it? And what is the likely significance of such a study? That's for today. Thank you.